My mother was a vendor. Sold bananas for me to go to university. And guess what? Those bananas produced a lawyer. My father died when I was 13 years of age. So I grew up to be very responsible because at 13, 14, 15, my mind on Tengesa, my mind up south and so forth. Now, found to Sarada Munisaj, Maraka Siba, Mariakat, the Fonopano Chingranyama, and Hodi. So I actually grew up doing almost everything. And I'm so grateful because those experiences literally shaped
you to be
what I became.
I understand there's a lot of pressure within yourself to perform. What is your measure of your success?
Always learn to celebrate success at your level. At your level, success may mean being able to pay one room rent. Garam one room. But to suffer one room. Private school has wrote in private school 3,000. Private school can also mean a school that's not necessarily government where you can afford to pay. Better schools start with better parents.
We've seen in our contemporary world that most of the great leaders are good orators. You've got your Jim Mugabe, you've got Julius Malema, you've got Obama. Have you ever considered being in politics? Everyone has got a journey, and within that journey, there's a story to tell. Welcome to your favorite show, The Journey at Kura TV, where we focus on people's personal stories in their journey towards their pursuit to success. And today, here to speak about his journey is one and only Arthur Marara.
You come back.
I was right.
Nice.
Life is
all about window. Yeah.
I know this message is to the people.
Yeah.
But how does it resonate to you personally? Has there been a point in time where you look yourself in the mirror and say, Arthur, Ufono has been?
Constantly. What I'm actually doing is Zuvindi. Standing in front of people is Zuvindi. Inviting people on a journey to say, guys, let's go out there and transform our lives. It takes a lot of guts, eh? But most importantly, people have made it in life. They're people who believed in themselves. And people were daring, doing something that they've never done before. If you've watched our video where we're saying Gore's wind, we're going to be running with this theme for a long time because we want people to be stepping out of their comfort zones and also beginning to do things differently. Yeah, so don't get us wind
every day. So yeah. That leads me to my second question. Growing up after I finished my law degree, because you are like an inspiration to me personally.
Thank you.
I remember the first encounter that I have with you when you're having an event with Cynthia Chirinda at Batanai Gardens.
Yeah.
That's when I first had an encounter with you. And I was like, you know what? This is exactly what I'm looking for. I just finished my degree, a law degree by then. And I was in a position where I was asking myself, what else can I do besides law? And I've seen that on your side. I just want you to share and give us like, what is the importance of you discovering yourself more than your qualification?
Because if you don't discover yourself beyond your qualification becomes the limitation. So a number of times we are effectively being limited by a certificate. So you went to school, you became a lawyer, and you think that's all that you can be. But I would like to believe I'm more than just a lawyer. So the moment I was able to discover that I'm more than a lawyer, even my value proposition increased. Now I realize I love working with people. I love people development. I love changing stories. That's one thing that I enjoy so much. One of the most important things that I want you to do is to go beyond your qualification. Because a number of people, they're actually disqualified by their qualifications. So you go to law school, you think you're just a lawyer. That becomes a limitation. But if you open your mind realize that you are actually more than just your certificate, it will actually liberate you.
Yeah.
If I was just a lawyer, chances are I will not be sitting here together. Because what conversation are we going to be having?
Obviously, legal one.
Just legal, and I think very few people really want to know that. But the moment I stepped out of my comfort zone and realized, okay, I'm actually passionate about this, I think it was been really, really liberating. But one of the things that I encourage people is to be able to find your passion beyond your profession. But it's even better if your profession is your passion. So I'm a communicator generally. So when I'm in law courtroom setup, that's like speaking and engagement.
Yes.
So I'm actually doing what I'm always doing, which is to speak. So yeah, find yourself, discover yourself. But it's even better when your hobby also creates value for you. So now I network with people through my hobby. Yeah, that's how I meet new clients, meet new people. That's how we end up engaging and interacting. Yeah, so don't be limited by qualification. That's my message to you.
Yeah, that's very true. And I've also come to discover that sometimes we value more the things that we acquire than the things that are already gifted in us. And it also takes us a lot of time to discover that what we have is more than what we're striving for mostly. And I've been following you for quite a long time, and there's this distinction that you always give, that you are not a motivational speaker, but a transformative speaker. Why is that distinction really important for you?
It's because, you know what, we usually make fun of motivational speakers. That's why you find a lot of memes. We started my restaurant with one rice, like this. I started my pharmacy with one brufen. But you see, motivation is temporal, and it's also external. So there's motivational speaking, inspirational speaking, transformational speaking. So motivational is, getting fired up. So it's outside. Inspirational is inside. Yeah, so I just want to inspire you. Nothing wrong with motivation, by the way. And similarly, nothing wrong with inspirational, by the way, inspirational speaking. But I believe so much in what is called transformational speaking, where our conversation inspires change from the inside out. And that's why if you listen to any of my stuff, there's nothing motivational. As a matter of fact, you are likely to be angry with me. Yeah, because I don't want to tell you what you want to hear. I want to tell you what you need to hear. Then once I tell you what you need to hear, the goal is we need to plant the seeds of transformation, the seed upon which you can say, okay, this has to change. So if the conversations we're going to have, if the talks that we're going to have are not going to result in any change, I don't think we're doing anything. So that's why I believe so much in having transformational conversations, so that it's not just about talking, it's about seeing real, meaningful change.
Talking about change, I know when you're young, you've got aspirations. When you look at yourself, is there a consistency between what you dreamed of when you're growing up and what you have become? And do you think you've succeeded in doing that, or you failed?
I'll tell you something that many people don't tell people. So the temptation once at a different level is to edit your story. I was just like any other child. Just growing up. And I also didn't actually know what I wanted. So usually you say, no, you need to know what you want. Of course, that's what we're now saying, because when we're given opportunity to help youngsters, we really want to help give you a bit of clarity. But I was just a normal child growing up. But I think majority of my life began to shape around about primary, when I identified one unique passion, which was writing. So growing up, at most I thought I was just going to be writing. But I just wanted to write one book. That's what I wanted to write. I liked the idea of being termed an author. I loved that. It was really good. I remember trying to write my first books in secondary. Proved to be disaster, because I was trying to write a novel. Later on I realized, no, I'm not even a novelist. I'm not even meant to be a novelist. But that's when I realized it's also very important now as we grow to also create platforms where we can get to identify the giftings in our children. So when you see certain things that are manifesting in your children, it's also good to invest in getting to know, okay, what is it that they are gravitating towards and how can we help. Yeah, so later on, I think when I was in high school, just when the idea of law started playing around my mind. I think I was in law sixth. I didn't even know what law does, what is it about. And when you're in high school, you just want to get good points.
Yeah.
Get good points. Then going to university was really unheard of. Was none of my family members had actually been to university.
So you're the first.
So I was literally being the first person breaking new ground, which is something I'm so grateful to God for. And that's what I also believe, that in every family, it's usually one person who's going to do something for the first time. And the prayer really is not for me to be the first and the last. The prayer is for God to use me to show the rest of the people that it's possible. It's actually doable. And I'm so grateful to God that many more people followed suit. Yeah, now, if you're going to ask in my immediate family, almost everyone has got a degree. 4 of us have got master's degrees, now working on my PhD. But it was just being able to demonstrate possibility. So I'm so grateful to God really for helping me along the way to get to discover more
of yourself,
about myself, and what I wanted to do.
So growing up, Mambo nickname it. I'm not nicknaming.
I don't even, it's just your reserved. So what, I was supposed to grow up quickly. My father died when I was 13 years of age. So I grew up to be very responsible. So drama teenager, I don't even know about it. Because at 13, 14, 15, my mind on Tengesa, my mind of South and so forth. Now found us around Munisajga, Marara Siro, Mariakat, the Fonoponot, so I actually grew up doing almost everything. And I'm so grateful because those experiences literally shaped
you to be what
I became. And that's why I also believe that even if you are a parent, you also need to be very careful about those formative years, because they also lay a very solid foundation about what your child is actually becoming. So now the bulk of the things that I actually speak on, this is a person who grew up quickly. So a number of times people used to think I'm an old man, until one person had to drive a very expensive car just to look for me. And he says, I'm like,
but have you ever thought, could maybe a stage you felt like, no, I needed to leave someone now?
We don't choose our backgrounds, number one. But number two, I really don't think I actually missed out. In the sense that whatever that I think people say I missed out, it actually saved me to become who I am today. I know people in my class who became fathers as soon as we finished A-level. And by the time some of us were going to university, they were buying diapers. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I think sometimes what we usually think someone missed out on going out partying. No, I've never been the partying type of person. I think it really preserved me, and it also helped in many, many respects. So I'm really grateful for the background that I actually had. And now I also wish that our teenagers could also be able to begin to understand their own unique purpose.
Now, a lawyer, a speaker, probably there are other businesses that are going on. My worry or my sort of question that I always have when it comes to big brands like yourself is, don't you get to a point where you feel like you're chained or you're in a cage where your brand has to compete with your personality? I mean, you're well composed and well kept in terms of how you maneuver. Have you ever felt, let me switch to the other mood, and then the other mood is actually in conflict with who you are?
Can I actually tell you one thing? I think one of the things that's very important is just be yourself, just be one. So I don't act.
This is you.
That's me. I can't. That's why I can't even do drama or anything. I can't even act, even career-wise. No, I can't. The upper you see outside is the same guy you see inside. The difference is just I won't be raising my voice because I'm not on a stage. But if you're going to spend a day with me, pretty much Yeah, you're more or less going to the same person. Because I really don't want to be under pressure by just being what I'm not. Yeah, I'm a very simple guy, simple person, mind my business. I know what I want, I pursue, I work in silence. I don't talk about what I'm doing. But of course, people think you're not doing anything. No, I'm actually doing a lot. But I've mastered the value of privacy as well along the way. But most importantly, being in the public domain comes with its own burdens. But one of the things that I've noticed about being in the public domain is, for me, I think it's a greater calling towards humility. Because more and more people get access to you, more and more people see you. And when people recognize you, when people meet and mix with you, always stay human. Yeah, I know people right now, they're not even at my level. I don't know PA. I don't know anyway. I don't know if a number you. I'm like, guys, come on. Also, anyway, be simple. Yeah. Be simple, be approachable, be talkable. But I'm not saying tolerate nonsense. Nah.
Let's do boundaries.
Always have your boundaries, but stay human. That's one of the things that I'll tell you. So I was attending a certain event 2 weeks ago, last week actually. So this person was there. I was there. Almost everybody who was passing through was greeting me. And she's like, how do you manage all this thing? I'm like, the solution is simple. Stay humble. If someone greets you, don't make anyone regret greeting you. If someone greets you, greet them back with life. If someone has spent a few minutes, a few seconds to stop by and say, how are you doing, sir? Be kind. And it's always amazing to realize this person is actually human. And
I think that's where most of the popular guys miss it. And you find out under the depression or just because he's just failed to manage his brand and being real with himself. But that's really commendable what you just described there, that just maintain being humble and just be human. And on the topic of being human, it's like we are meeting a superhuman being.
I don't even.
So my question is, have you ever failed before? Have you ever failed before? And how do you deal with failure?
Can I tell you what? Always embrace your humanity. Regardless of how we appear, whether successful or whatever, we're all human. Embrace your humanity. We also have our breaking points. Always recognize your breaking points. And always realize your limits as a human being. It's so important. So one of the things that has actually helped me is to have a very effective support system, where if I'm going through some issues, I find some people I can talk to.
So the Superman needs.
So not being Superman. It's I think one thing that has helped me is staying me, just being me. It's good, and also realizing that not everyone is going to like you. But one of the things that has really helped me is I've never allowed the fact that I'm a public figure to get into my head. Because when I was growing up, I never planned to be a public figure. I never. I was just some guy who wanted to grow up, look for a job, start your own life. You know what I'm saying? But along the way, some of these things, they actually come. So don't let these things come into your head. And once you master that principle, that don't let these things come into your head, you're okay. Why? Because when you need help, again, the fact that you embrace your humanity is going to enable you to allow you to seek for help. So that's what I do. So I got a problem. But I can say, So I do that.
So I think most of the people know you as a lawyer, public speaker. What other business do you do? What's your business?
My business
that you do.
I'm into intellectual property business. That's what I actually do. So what I've simply done is I've commercialized my profession. That's what I've actually done. And the next level that I've done is to commercialize my hobby. Yeah. So, but when you hear about business, you usually want to know Madomasi, you know what? It's always understanding that what business means is not necessarily what everyone sees business as it is. My definition of business, if you can do something and someone can actually pay you, you're already in business. If you can interview me and someone likes what you're doing and someone wants to hire you, you're already in business. But what you now need to work on is to ensure that you develop the quality of your product, to ensure that it's, number one, scalable, number two, it can also reach various levels where you can also be paid a premium. So yeah, I'm a full-time lawyer. That's what I actually do between 8 to 5. But when you see me on stage, yeah, that's me doing my hobby. I enjoy it.
You enjoy it.
I love it.
And talking about hobbies, you spoke about passion. To say it's important that you also have passion in the things you do. Are there certain things that you do that you're not passionate about, but you just think I should just do it for the sake of doing it, probably because it pays you more?
No.
And no. Everything, it's passion.
Yeah. You know what? Because I'll also be very honest with you. I'm thankful I'm in a profession that is very good. I'm in a profession that pays. Yeah, it's amazing to be honest. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So I can actually decide, good, I don't want to be on radio. I don't want to be in any newspapers. I don't want to be talking to you. I can also decide that. But you know why I spare time to do this? Because I believe when God has given you grace, we also need to extend the opportunity so that people say, okay, how can you write your own narrative? Yeah, how can you change? So what I do now, I don't actually do it for money. No, I don't. Of course it pays, but I don't want to do it for money. Why? Because money has got its limitations. You're also not always going to be making money. That's why it's very important to always have a strong why in terms of why are you doing what you're doing. Yeah.
And on the issue of making money in business, I'm sure a lot of viewers there are just curious that how much are you making in speaking?
All right, no, I wouldn't tell you that. But you know, one of the things that I've tried to do, certain things, of course, unless if you're in my circle, you never know. Because I usually don't easily get distracted by saying this, that, and but those who are in my circle, they know that.
They know exactly. And okay, just a comparison, lawyering and speaking, or the things that you're doing in terms of business, which one would you call the main thing or your base?
Can I tell you one secret? It's complementary. I'm not always speaking and I'm not always in court. In fact, I'm not actually in court. The amount of times I'm in court in a year, it doesn't exceed 20 times in a year. I don't actually go to court that much. My practice of law now revolves around keeping people away from the courts and creating value in various ways. And secondly, if you've noticed, I'm not always on stage. Nah, I'm not. Why? Because I don't just want to keep myself busy. I also want to keep myself busy in a valuable way. So that's why I'm not always doing all those things. But how my life is structured, if I'm not speaking, I'm a lawyer. But if I'm speaking, that's me relaxing.
You relaxing or
Yeah, that's how I actually relax. So people ask me what's my hobby. My hobby is speaking.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at what point did you discover your purpose and how did you do that?
You know what? Growing up, I think the seed was planted in me. I'm so grateful to my primary school teacher for exposing us to novels. My favorite novel was Pafunge. I don't know if you read it. Thompson Zotso. Very interesting novel. And as the book was being read, I'm like, wow, I want to be a novelist. Okay. But at one point in time you ignore it because you're like, maybe I'm fantasizing. But I think when God has put a seed within you, it's always knocking. It's always knocking.
It's always pushing.
I think my biggest breakthrough came when I finished my A-level. And I started fantasizing on the idea of writing study guides. inspired by another guy that I've never met called P.D. Griffiths. So P.D. Griffiths had done some study guides for Acts, Galatians, Romans, and Corinthians. So those are actually separate books. Then I realized we don't have an equivalent for the Old Testament. So my idea was I want to write mine for the Old Testament. But the difference with mine, you don't have to buy separate books. I'm going to put everything in one book. That's how I came up with my first book. Okay. By just taking an idea that was already there, but refining it, and ensuring that the book that I was going to produce was not just any other textbook. It was going to be a revision guide. But the revision guide was also going to come with a bit of flesh and also some very important study tips. And that's what made my books unique. Yes. And that became the birth of my books. 9 of my books eventually were approved, recommended for use in all schools.
I love your story. I love the fact that you can trace back what you are today to childhood. And I feel like it's a very important exercise that everybody ought to do, to just have a moment where you go back kumashuro nekuti kunotore ma-signs ezvinhu wakapiwa mwari so unongonosikatese usingakwanise kuona because you are now grown. So brands like yourself, I understand there's a lot of pressure within yourself to perform. What is your measure of your success?
All right. So one thing that I'll tell you about success is you actually need to have your own definition of what success means. Because if you use my definition of success, you may be living a miserable life thinking you're a failure. But always learn to celebrate success at your level. At your level, success may mean being able to pay 1 room rent. Yeah, it's actually success. Being able to go kombi, kusakumba, that can be success. But it also changes with time, where you begin to realize, oh, okay, now success for me is no longer 1 room. Now success for me means I need to have a property, 500 square meters. That's success for me. So what I always do for myself is I always set for myself targets that guide me. Okay, this is 2024. This is what I want to do. This is 2025. This is what I want to do. And for me, it has really kept me in check. Because what I do at the end of the year, I'm now saying, okay, what did I set out to do in 2024? Did I actually achieve it? And by the way, that's the definition of success. Being able to progressively achieve predetermined and worthwhile goals. Okay, what do I want? So success may mean just being able to fight and recover your health. That's success. Success can also mean being able to work on your relationship and ensure that you become a better husband. That's still success. It can mean being a better father. I want to be present in my children's life. That's also success. So society, unfortunately, has forced us to think success is money. But ask me, success for me is being able to unite my family. That's success. That's one of the successes that I celebrate. Everyone in my family, I talk to them. Yeah, I talk to them. If my young brother's got a problem, I'm the first person they call. Not because they want money, but because they've got someone who is a pillar. That's success. So my point always goes back to you. Have your own healthy definition of what success means.
And I understand the society that we live in and the environment we live in. And at some point, you feel like the society is too small for you and it's shrinking you to be this other person. Have you ever felt that the Zimbabwean space or the space that you're in is suppressing you not to expand to the person that you're supposed to be?
You know what? When I was in university, one of the things that I had clarity was where I wanted to practice my law. I grew up in Masvingo, by the way, and during that time, we did not have a high court in Masvingo. And up to now, we don't have a Supreme Court in Masvingo. Of course, it may visit on circuit. But I became very clear when I was growing up that I don't see myself practicing law in Masvingo. I've appeared in courts in Masvingo, but that time, the environment was really small for me. I wanted a big environment that allowed me to be in various courts. Also, to be in a place where I'll also be stretched. And I think it actually proved to be a blessing later on, because what I'm doing now, I don't think I was going to be able to do it in a smaller town. I'm not saying much of a small, it's big. It gave birth to who I am. But I'm so grateful that I came into a big environment where literally you don't know anyone.
Yeah.
And you find yourself now you're in national newspapers, national TV. Now you're on people's various platforms. So I think as you grow, as you identify yourself, it becomes important as well to identify the type of environment that your dream needs. It does actually help. So Zim is always small. No, it's always not small, it's big. But my vision is global. Yeah, we're going to conquer the world. Like conquering the world is not conquering people, but saying we want the message to reach out to more people. But thank God, because of technology, interestingly, during COVID, we were able to cover all the 5 continents. I spoke to all the continents.
Wow.
Yeah, in the very same place you're sitting right now. So, yeah, I don't think Zim is small. And I also don't think Zim is restricting me, because the law degree can only work in Zim. And I knew it when I was studying law, that it's going to work in Zim. So I can't say my law practice has been restricted or suppressed by Zim. No, it's not correct. But my hobby is global.
Talking about being global, South Africa has got Vusi, there is Trevor Noah, and it seems like as Zimbabweans, our breakthrough to the global field seems to be kind of very slow. What do you think needs to change in terms of our approach?
You know what? I'll tell you one thing. We've got James Manyika at Google. We've got Ralph Mpita, it should be MTN. We've got quite a number of figures in key positions out there who are Zimbabweans. I think Zimbabweans have done so well, tremendously. We've produced Strive Masio, who is a global figure. We've produced quite a number of people who are global figures in Zim. We've produced Danai Gurira, who is in Hollywood, and she's done phenomenally well. Arnold Chirisa, who is in Hollywood, done very, very well. And so what I think we need to do is already celebrate the ones who are already doing things. And secondly, in terms of people like us, the bulk of the work really is keep pushing. That's what I always encourage. But I'm so grateful for the likes of Milton. Milton has done very well. He has managed to create a global brand. Just that you don't find much stuff about him on YouTube, but he's a phenomenal speaker. He's done phenomenal things. Jonah Mungoshi from Zimbabwe. Jonah was world champion public speaking from Zimbabwe. He's done so well. He bought Ero Mzawazi. Ero Mzawazi at one point in time was in the Guinness Book of World Records for the longest speech. So these are all Zimbabweans coming out. But I think one thing that we need to do is to say, how do we put together the narrative of fellow Zimbabweans who are doing things? And I believe we have tremendous people doing tremendous things. And by the way, the most followed person in Zimbabwe is a gentleman from Belvedere, Muftmank. Muftmank has serious global following. It's based in Belvedere. And I don't think so far from the people you've mentioned, of course, except entertainers, some few entertainers, they've actually is following on either YouTube or Twitter. So I really think we've come up with quite a number of exports in Zim. We've got your job praiser. So we've got lots and lots of talent. People, you talk of Brian Nira. We have lots and lots of Zimbabweans who are doing phenomenal things. We've got Odious, and Odious Mtawarira, done phenomenal things in the music circles. We've got Tendai Mtawarira, the beast. No, I'm just giving you response just to show you how much Zimbabwe has done so well. So I really think the bulk of the work is let's celebrate our own heroes. And for me, a person like me, I get encouragement and inspiration from the fact that we have got so many Zimbabweans who have done so well. But maybe we would also want to see Zimbabwean speakers going out there
Yes.
to be in a global space.
Yes.
And I think we all start from somewhere. And I'm really excited that we're already starting the journey and we all start small. And there's something that I want you to notice as well from Zimbabwe, just talking about things coming from Zim, that people have really succeeded in breaking through to the global market from the arts. They've not been people who are playing R&B. They're not people who are playing reggae. They're not people who are doing anything. Teams read Zambira.
Yes.
Teams who are traditional music. Your Hope Masike, all those people, your Mokomba, that African flair.
And the funny thing about that is, they
can't even hear what this or they so the point is, the world is awaiting for Zimbabwe to come up with a Zimbabwean message. And this is what we're saying. And our message is also a personal growth message. But when we throw in things like be daring, it's all those messages. This is just a different way of reminding each other that we need constantly get out of our comfort zones. But most importantly, to realize that we can't necessarily fight the conditions. But what Strive Masiwa says, we need to fight in the conditions. And the moment we understand that, I think we'll be positioning ourselves for even greater breakthrough. That's what I think.
Kuma, you like a Moses of this nation.
That's it. Moses is too big. Moses is too big.
Taking us from the bondages of slavery in terms of opening our mind and challenging our current environment. I don't think there's anybody I think most of the people are doing that, but you seem to stand out in the fact that you resonate with many. You speak of a message. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. No, I'm so grateful to people who've paved the way for us. I used to watch Milton on TV. Read on a Dagma Mvura when I was growing up. Jonah Mgosha, I used to see him on CBZ program.
Actually, that was my next question. Who inspired you?
Yeah, so you see all those people, but one of the persons who really had a profound effect was my Sekuru, my impact. I call him Dad. It's very, very inspirational. My mom's brother, Sekuru Gatibu. That man, he saw the seed, which was amazing. And I used to spend a few days with him because it's not based in Zim. But when you spend a few hours with a person who is loaded, your life will never be the same.
Yes.
And I'm always laughing and joking with him, Tundara. I took what you gave me. I just polished it. And one of the things that I'm also grateful for, people who have inspired me, my own mother. I saw a picture last few days about this old woman, Angabata Sando, Isemra Matombo, Shena, and so forth. And the caption was, a person will be asked, who is your inspiration? And they say Michelle Obama. And they forget this woman. So I'll never lie to you, because I was inspired by Martin Luther. No, I've never read any of Martin Luther's book. I've never read any of Barack Obama's book. No, I respect their legacy. But I've read books that were unwritten in form of the lives of people that I've interacted with. My mom lost her husband in 1998. She was 29. And despite the fact that she was still young, she stood with all of us, 5 of us, no formal employment. She sent all of us to school. Of course, I chipped in and finished the race. For me, that's real inspiration. For me, if a widow can be this principled, work so hard, ensure to Vana, I think that's inspiration. But most importantly, and of course I thank the individuals that I've mentioned, most importantly, it's also the reflections that you now have along the way that also help you come out with your own unique messages. So you see, I'm very passionate about people who are with families. I really want to mathematicians are realistic. Because in 1998, I saw my father die. Like physically, I saw him die. And at that very moment, you realize, Mawana Tutanga. Tutanga. But now, I want to see more and more women being empowered, whether you're married, whether you're not, be empowered. I want to see more and more men being empowered as well, to be able to leave something meaningful for their families. That's what I really believe. And the more we do that, I think the more we build better societies.
And I believe your mother is a proud mother.
No, she is.
She is. My seed is also bearing fruit and people are benefiting from it. And I like the fact that you celebrate uncelebrated heroes.
Yeah.
In the sense that, yes, there's a lot of inspiration out there, but there's some inspiration that we miss within ourselves. And having that wisdom to identify those heroes is really key. It's really massive.
Yeah.
So now we've seen in our contemporary world that most of the great leaders are good orators. You've got your R.G. Mugabe, you've got Julius Malema, you've got Obama. Have you ever considered being in politics?
Not even. Not even. I still think for a person like me, it will be a distraction. I don't have time to be campaigning. No, I don't. And secondly, I still think that I can be of use outside politics. Like now, I'm already making a difference without being a politician. Mm-hmm. I also think politics requires a certain level of dedication that I don't have. Yeah, of course I can speak, but I don't think I can put. I can't put my energy in that particular direction. So yeah, I don't see myself in politics. It would take a great miracle for me to be in politics.
Great miracle.
No, I don't. Okay. It will waste my time actually.
You can do magic right now.
No.
I think you be a politician.
You know what? But what I want to see more and more is more and more for young people participating in politics. But what I also want to see is mature politics, where we get to reason. Yeah, what's your value proposition? I really want to see that. And with time, I also want to be able to watch on TV live debates into what you're offering. Yeah, I really want to see that. But at this stage, I'm very happy to celebrate whoever in politics, whatever they're doing.
As long as it's positive and it's contributing.
You know what? Because you see what? At the end of the day, we're all Zimbabweans. And at the end of the day, all of us, I think we also want the same thing, which is a better country. But regardless of the political side that you pick, it doesn't make you any less Zimbabweans. Mm-hmm. So ultimately, I'll leave politics to the politicians. Of course, when it comes to voting, I'll vote. But ultimately, I want to be able to make Zimbabwe better where I am already. And I think we're already doing that. One small step at a time.
Yeah, true that.
Yeah.
My magic yaramba, guys. I wanted other to venture into politics.
Better.
Magic yaramba.
Yeah.
Biggest question that I have for you.
Yeah.
Are you the best speaker in Zimbabwe?
Can I tell you one thing? I don't even want to compare myself with anyone because you're not me, I'm not them. And the biggest problem arises when we say, are you best? What metrics are you using? What standards are you using? So the moment you start saying best or whatever, I think we begin to mislead ourselves.
Yes. We're not competing.
No. So I think I'm always a speaker who is willing to learn, who is constantly improving every day. And I refuse titles like best. I always want to be better after every assignment. That's what I want to do. So I believe so much in continuous improvement. And by doing so, yeah.
I think when you have such a mentality, you are guaranteed that you continue to grow all the time because you're giving yourself a room to learn from others who are also within the field.
Yeah.
Your message and your inspiration, I understand sometimes it needs a level of some intellectual understanding for one to grasp your concept. Have you ever come up in a situation where you think you're being misunderstood in terms of your message?
You know what? I don't think I'm being misunderstood. I just think people will be in denial. Yeah, in denial. So, hey, utuga. Hakuna munhu anoburuka muzupko ane iPhone yakatenga.
Remember that hakuna munhu anoburuka muzupko ane Brazilian.
Yeah. So you see, people are in denial. iPhone is a Veblen product. Veblen product, these are products that are priced, and when they're priced, they're pretty much meant to speak to lifestyle. Lifestyle yako uchinitsirwa dollar mukombi ndeipi. So you see, generation will say, hey, utuka, hey, kana ndakatengerwa iPhone. Iye wachari kutengira iPhone ane problem. Iye. Yes, imari yako, but shamwari, uyu munhu ari kutengira iPhone, what's your game plan? What are you So let the iPhone 15. Mari data una, ukumbira on data on iPhone 15. So you see, when we go back to these basics and we start telling people the truth, hey arondituka, hey arikuwanza, hey mari yangu, anobora me mari yako gani. But what I'm saying is, this is the best use you can do with your money. So right now you find kuti munhu anotaka ngobata bata mari adotenga Benz. But Benz tukatosonzwa namachokwadi anogadzirwa nasina mari. If you want to be very honest with each other, because anogadzirwa nasina mari. And secondly, Benz anogadzirwa nanopaka $1 per night. Because the understanding here is the Benz. Ndio kuti unofana kupakwa pai mugarage, pane security, pane makamera, pane chi. But my message, if you have noticed, pretty much when I'm saying these things, that's a financial literacy conversation.
Yes, true.
No, try to reprioritize certain things, reorder certain things. Your life will be amazing. But for those who've understood the message, it has really helped them. So I don't even deliver my intellectual messages. So pretty much, I'm just courageous enough to tell you what your brother cannot tell you. So it's okay, you got one room. You're still starting your life. You're still starting for your life. Garam one room. But it's one room. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Private school has wrote in this private school 3,000. Private school can also mean a school that's not necessarily government, where you can afford to pay. Now, I was having a conversation with Old Mutual a few days ago. What I was saying, guys, do you know there's so many government schools that you don't even know they're government schools? I don't know how those are, because they're very good. Right now, if you actually take time, go pick up some of the government schools, you'll be shocked. Because the standards they've been elevated. And who elevates the standards? You'll be shocked. It's the parents. It's the parents. We set my standards. That's my standards. We create a place to Anawedu, Magapinda. It's as good as our private school. Yeah. So now it's these conversations where we need to encourage our parents in various schools, realizing better schools start with better parents.
Better parents.
Yeah.
That's good. Come out, you're loved by many. Obviously, when you're loved by many, you are also hated by many. What's your message to your haters?
I don't care.
I saw that one coming.
I don't care. Let me tell you one thing. If your hate does not affect my net worth, I don't care. I don't care. As a matter of fact, I don't reply. We just block and ban. We lose nothing. So, because you know what, and just to so one of the biggest problems is we do things and they expect people to like us. That's the biggest problem. You know, I don't want to be liked. I'm not a politician, and this ice cream and this marry. Are you with me? So people are actually going to hate you. Just in public domain, not to my enemies. And by the way, every level attracts a certain level. You're my enemies. So yeah, I don't care. That's my message. I don't care. Can I hate you? Being balanced. I don't care. I don't. No, do you know why I don't care?
Yes.
Because you didn't create me. Where I am is not because of you.
It's because of
someone. And where I'm going is also not going because of you. So it's not about direction one. When you wake up every day, focus.
focus on your biggest.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna play a game with you. It's called Pick Your Favorite.
Okay.
It's questions. They're a bit tricky, but I know you are Arthur. You always find your way around them.
Okay, I can always say no.
So okay, Winky D or Jabrazer?
Can I tell you what? I don't know why I should be saying this on. Yeah, I think we're really blessed with two amazing artists who sing two different genres. So I think both artists, I've listened to one or two of their songs. They're very talented artists, by the way. Yeah, very good artists.
You choose both?
You know what? I've actually worked with Jabrazer quite a number of times. I like a lot of his music. Winky, I've listened to some of his songs, very good songs. He's very talented. And by the way, Winky is one of the most hardworking artists, by the way.
Yeah. Totally.
Now I've seen him Mashtanga from ZBC. And I think that's one of the things that you need to say about Zim. It's a land full of opportunities where someone, just by utilizing their gifts, they've managed to unite an entire country.
Yes.
Yeah.
Inspire a generation to that.
Yeah.
Next question. Holy 10 or Sandflow? Do you listen to these people?
All right. Can I tell you what? When you play your local radio stations, you are bound to come into contact with them. So some of the artists, by virtue of my profession, I've actually had the opportunity of working with them.
All right.
Yeah. I've listened to Saint Flo. It's very talented, eh? Holy 10, I remember listening to one of the songs, etc. I'm like, who is this guy? And
with a deep voice.
But one thing about him is I love how he divides opinion. He's very, very good at that. But he's also immensely talented, eh? So these are very two talented artists in their own respective ways. Yeah.
Another one. Passion Java or say Wicknell? You answer here.
So I'll tell you one. I'll tell you why. One of the biggest, one of the biggest problems. Some of these guys actually have dealt with them before, so it becomes very difficult for me. Yeah, I know I have. But to be honest, you know what? We were all created differently, and I think we're all created in our special way. Wicknell is managed to ensure that Zimbabwe stops. Yeah, you know, he's mastered that of influence. Yeah, I'm going to see Victor etc. He's managed to do that. Now, he's managed to change how my posters are being seen, etc.
Yes,
So influence comes in various ways, and always realize that we are all going to be different, and it's also okay to celebrate how different you are. Yeah, so I actually celebrate everyone for their uniqueness. And by the way, it's also good to learn to realize that good side, neither other side, not bad side. Good side, neither other side, including yourself.
Yes.
So yeah, I celebrate everyone. Yeah.
And my last one. Shadia or Comic Past? Any comment between the two?
Again, I've interacted with these people. Comic who actually talk. Phenomenal human being. Comic here is
and fascinating how he started.
I loved his Kitie Shamu.
That's where he started. I remember.
So you know, I was always looking around for this guy. He will. And then, so Comic is actually my church mate. Eh? Very talented.
Which church do you go to?
That off. It's very, very talented. I love how Comic introduced the dimension, yes, my skits. Comic was one guy who was able to have a skit at one. And she went to my interviews. And you see, if you're in an environment with economic challenges, sometimes comedy does a lot of wonders.
True.
If you've noticed in Zimbabwe, we laugh about everything. Mazuva apera tandakutora zvazigimari.
Yes.
Ndakaona wachigadzira makatuni twamwe dread so vachizigimari. I really think comedy it's amazing for a nation, but I also think when a comic, what they've managed to do is also open an amazing stage for many people. And Nigel, quite a number of guys who have actually followed in their steps. He's an amazing man. Very blessing actually. Then who else did you mention?
Shadia.
All right, Shadia, whether they like it or not, that's a real influencer. Shadaya has managed, whether they like him or not, is one person who can easily go viral. Every time, check your Twitter, X.
Very dominant.
He's one guy who is trending every time. He's very brilliant. He's a very brilliant man. I've been opportunity of sitting down with Shadaya. That guy is very, very intelligent, very, very bright. So you don't necessarily have to subscribe to what he says, but I also want us to learn to celebrate the difference. It's very, very important. So in every society, one of the things that I actually encourage you, don't strive to change people to be like you. Strive to ensure that people become who they are in your presence. So when I meet you, I don't want to change you. Yeah, so it's a very interesting guy. I noticed one day when he posted something, without even tagging Vusi Tembekwayo, he actually had to comment on Shadaya's post. So if you see such brands coming to such accounts, and the word that he says, thank you, legend. So imagine if greater brands recognize the legend he is. Yeah, he is. So I think he's tremendously gifted, very brilliant, very sharp. And I also think in Zim, we're also beginning to see global influencers at various scales. And by the way, it's okay to have different views. Yeah.
Nkomath.
Yes.
Thank you very much for this interview.
Thanks so much, eh?
So you indeed be bold and be brave. That's the biggest message from Mukoma Arthur. Thank you very much for tuning in. Kura TV with me, your host, Shingai Mujeri, the Black Uhuru. Till we meet again. Bye-bye.
Next on the Journey podcast.
I think salary was 140 US dollars. You see, would I have bought a house in Harare if I was still in that environment? Definitely not. And maybe I would not have even gone to Singapore and so forth if I had remained in that environment. So I'm really proud of myself, but of course I'm humbled because sometimes, not everyone can see an opportunity when presented with one.